Many apologies for the delayed update. I underwent some invasive dental work that left me too grumpy to drive, let alone update my most recent misadventures. Boy, was that a crazy night. You drive for Cerber? I do indeed, she smiles. Wow, that's... So wait, I need to ask. Buckle up, I'm going there. Are you human then? Yep. The money wouldn't be worth it if I wasn't. Very good point. If you even have a semblance of leverage beyond a human's ability, there's no way you could be breaking 4 figures per ride. That makes sense. Are any of the other drivers paranormal? I rally. There are some. Cerber doesn't typically have too many paranormal drivers because they can't rake in as much dough. Make the lamb tote the lion, make more money. Simple and callous. How long have you been driving for Cerber? About 4 years now, she replied with a cute, prideful smile. Would you mind getting a coffee after this? I would really love to ask you some more questions, if you're okay with that. Can't let this opportunity slip away. Are you a cop? She asks, raising an eyebrow. No! I yell. No. I'm a foolish construction worker just waiting for the next contract. I swear, I'm not trying to interrogate. I'm interrupted by a laugh. What's the matter, Jim? You suddenly lost your sense of humor? What? You're pretty well known to most of us as the Untouchable. You're a super legend. Don't let that go too far to your head, though. We've got a betting pool going on to see how and when you die. She nudges. Super. I'm not even going to ask about the stakes or how much you've all put in, but I really do want to have a chat further discussing your experiences. I need to log this in. Yeah, sure. Right after we meet with Adeline. Sound good? She asks, thumbing towards the building. It just occurred to me that I've never actually met Adeline. Of all the entities that scare me, I'm most afraid of her. Anyone that can just ferry along the paranormal with very little regard for human life beyond loss prevention is pretty heartless. Lack of compassion is far more frightening than bad intentions. Yeah, does she know I'm here? I ask, wringing my wrists. Yeah, she knows. Charisse gives me a reassuring smile and begins walking towards the large metal doors. There's a card pad that requires a badge to enter. Now, high-tech was never really my strong suit, but I feel like a badge entry is pretty insecure for such an operation. Not my circus, not my monkeys, I guess. Upon entry, the entire warehouse is empty, save for a desk mounted with 4 computer monitors, a phone, and Keurig. I knew it. Totally a coffee fiend. I bet if I look closer, I'll have been right about the cocaine too. Then I saw Adeline. I was right to be afraid. Adeline, put plainly, is Medusa. I suppose using her real name would have been an awful idea when trying to employ humans. But I was truly not expecting to see the OG Gorgon in front of me. Despite having a head adorning different species of snakes and the lower half of a Burmese python, she was very pretty. Her torso was white, trailing down the underside of her snake half, while the rest of her was covered in yellow and cream spots. She had bright green eyes and wore bright purple lipstick. Her eyes were tired, but glittered against the blue hue of the computer screen. She appeared uncomfortably awake. Hi, Adeline, Charisse cheered, breaking through the sound of typing and clicking. Charisse, hello, little lamb! Adeline rose from her chair, and she had to be at least 9 feet tall. She slithered over and embraced Charisse in such a genuine hug. Then I remembered that Gorgons turned people to stone. My heart shook hands with my colon again as I spun around, trying really hard to avoid eye contact. Hi Adeline, it's me. What are you doing, Jimmy? Adeline asked in confusion. Well, I swallowed really hard. Remember, I still owe you quite a lot of money. It wouldn't be very lucrative or professional of you to turn me to stone, I say with a shaky voice. I wonder how bad it would hurt to become a lawn ornament. Oh my god, you're a moron, Charisse says, face palming. Oh, does that bother you, Jimmy? Adeline slides her tail around my feet, gripping my ankles. Fuck. No. Not if you let me live. She yanks me hard, slamming my head against the concrete floor, suspending me at eye level in front of her, I cupped my hands over my eyes like a scared child. I stopped caring about looking tough. I'm basically a spicy hot pocket to the paranormal. I'm humble enough to know that I'm not invincible. Jimmy? She inquires. Yeah? I say, keeping my hands over my face. Your fly is down. Cue the eruption of laughter from both Charisse and Adeline. Dicks. I instantly let go of my face and look up at my zipper, then go straight back to covering my face again. You can relax, Jim, Charisse says, whilst Adeline is giggling and releasing me right on top of my head. Jimmy, if I wanted to turn you to stone, I would have to will it. It's not an instant thing, though I quite enjoyed watching your reaction. It's so priceless when humans find out that I'm Medusa. She finishes, wiggling back to her seat. I bruise like a banana, you know. You can't just go dropping humans on their heads. I reply, fairly annoyed. Are you trying to teach me about manners, Jimmy? That's almost as funny as you having to clean your back seat for several hours, she retorts. Speaking of, Charisse interjects. Yes, we'll have your car in pristine condition in a matter of 3 hours. Is that okay? Do you need a company car for the time, or will you be taking the evening off? Adeline asks. Excuse me? I bark. Why does Charisse get her car cleaned on company dime and time, but not me? Charisse doesn't owe me thousands, let alone anything beyond what she's willing to work out. Hang on, my car was obliterated before I totaled the company car, I reply. Okay, you want to know the truth? She says, folding her arms, looking at me smugly. I don't like men. I know it's technically sexist, but a girl can't help herself. It may have slipped my mind to offer you the service. Mea culpa. She raises her hands and pouts her lip. You're a turd, I reply, half laughing. Adeline is a very likable, albeit terrifying entity. A sassy turd. Charisse doubles over at my dad joke. Adeline giggles and smiles at me. She then turns to Charisse to work out the details. So, what would you like me to do, little lamb? Adeline asks, propping her face up on her arms. Jim wants to get coffee and talk about the meat sack side of Cerber. I think I can waste 4 hours on that, easily. Charisse says, turning to look at me for affirmation. Yeah, I'd like that. I shove my hands in my pockets, blushing. Okay, call me? Charisse asks Adeline. Of course, love. I'll have it done, post-haste. Thanks, Addie. We all have our goodbyes. Charisse and I set out to the parking lot where my car is. What's with the little lamb thing? She kept calling you little lamb. You mentioned the lion and the lamb. What is all that? I ask while we climb into my car. It's kind of a morbid mascot for humans in the Cerber world. It's why our badges have lambs on them and entities have lions. It's kind of a quick way to separate who's who, as well as who's off limits for feeding. She said that so calmly, it's unnerving. Some drivers even tattoo the lamb on their hand or neck to sort of externally warn entities that they're a known human to the community. Some folks live in seedy areas and live in constant paranoia that they're not safe. They're not wrong, but that's no way to live, you know? Yeah, totally, I say with snark. So, how come I don't have a badge? My guess, you're still really new and still considered a liability. By the way, you really need to work on tact. I get that fight or flight kicks in and does what it wants to, but you need to gather yourself better or you're gonna end up getting into serious trouble. Plus, I need to live another 3 weeks or I'm out 2K. She giggles. I roll my eyes so hard that I nearly snap my optic nerves. Should I get the tattoo? I'll have no idea when I'll get that badge and I'm still in that fun paranoid honeymoon phase. I wouldn't worry about it. You've gone this long without being dinner. Why worry now? The paranormal didn't start existing when you started driving. If anything, you've been given a really good insurance policy by working for Cerber. Sure, you're in a much more frequent contact with the paranormal, but you're less likely to be eaten when driving. If you watch your mouth, that is. Less likely to be eaten doesn't make me feel very optimistic. I feel like I'm whining at this point. And them tattoos shouldn't make you feel more optimistic either. It's a tattoo, not chainmail. Oh shit, that's not a bad idea. We both laugh, pulling into my favorite coffee joint at the Bay Area. We get our drinks. I get a black iced coffee, and she orders a latte. She leads the way to the outdoor seating. No one's out there because of the cold, but I assume Charisse is just used to the cold conditions as I am, due to our clients preferring a colder environment for travel. No one being outside will enable me to pry without worrying about exposure. Of course, I'm just assuming that that's something to be mindful of. I've never been told directly to keep my mouth shut about the paranormal, but with the aliases and NDAs, probably best I keep as much information private as possible. So, you have a good friendship with Adeline? I begin. Oh yeah, she's great. Charisse draws a long sip from her brew. I actually didn't meet her the same way most people did. She heard about me through another entity who was an avid fan of drifting. What do you mean? I ask. You know, power sliding 240s as a sport. Cars, Jim. Car things. She replies, dumbing it down for me. Oh wow, that's awesome. So an entity referred you because of your skill? That's right. She beams her infectious smile. An entity by the name of Pinky, an Acrobuamelu. He's been one of my sponsors for 8 years. A what now? It's kind of a half scorpion, half human. The name is honestly scarier than the entity. Pinky's great. She takes another sip, still looking at me. Uh-huh, I reply. So, were you contacted by Adeline? Were you expecting it? No, not at all. Poor thing had to repeat the job description 4 times before I said no. You said no? Mm-hmm. Come on, you don't honestly have a wait a minute moment before accepting the job? Well, not exactly. I sort of didn't realize what I signed up for until after transporting my first client. Only then did I realize things were amiss. I swirl my coffee around, feeling a little ashamed of my answer. I know what's coming. Charisse thumps back in her chair, folding her arms over her chest and says, You didn't read the contract? No, I saw an application and I assumed it was just a competing ride-sharing company. I did think it was a bit odd they accepted me so fast, given the unclean record, but no. I didn't read the fine print. Just filled out a form online. Holy shit, you really are stupid, she said as though she was diagnosing me with the stupid. I groan, shook my hands in my jacket pocket, and lay my head on the table. Yeah, I get it, I wasn't cautious enough. I sit back up, hands still in my pockets. To be honest, I don't regret it. Had I been more nosy, I might not have been interested in the job, and I have to admit, I really do love this work. I've met some wicked cool creatures along the way, no pun intended. Charisse giggles. Yeah, I don't disagree. Well, it's kind of scary, it's also really entertaining. Our job will never be boring. She holds up her cup for a toast. We smile, tap cups, and take another swig. So, what's the scariest entity you've carried? Definitely Lamashtu. Her cover is nurse, which is insanely morbid, considering she works in labor and delivery at the hospital. She eats babies. For now, it's the dead ones, but I've witnessed one of her manic episodes. While I was taking her home, she looked really fried, probably from the lack of sleep and being really hungry. Since there were no stillborn babies that night, she was practically starving. In her fit of hangry psychosis, she ended up taking my leg. Charisse pulls up her left pant leg to reveal a prosthetic leg. I've seen some before, but this one seemed really advanced and high-tech. Charisse continues. Not only was the ride scary, it ended my drifting career. I can't paraslide in an automatic, not competitively. When I reported it to Adeline, she was livid and sympathetic. She pressed charges on Lamashtu and paid for a prosthetic leg for me. I was just grateful to be able to stand and walk again. So that's why you stayed with Cerber. It was less of a question, more of a finishing note. Charisse nodded gingerly. Well, I have to say, you're probably the coolest chick I've ever met, if it's any consolation, I say, smiling at her. Thanks, she replies, smiling back. So, who's your favorite client? I ask, still curious. Definitely the devil, she nods. Excuse me? I draw my hands to my chest as though I'm trying to calm my tits by force. Yeah, she goes by Lucy. She? Oh yeah, she nods smugly. The devil's a woman, and she's the absolute sweetest. Serious daddy issues, though. Do you mind unpacking that one for me? I implore, but of course Adeline sends Charisse a text alerting her that the car is already finished. Sorry, Jim. We have to head back. I need to beat pavement to make up for the last hour and a half, Charisse says, thumbing behind towards her car. Oh, okay. Damn it. I wasn't ready for this date to be over. Right. Date. We both get back into the car and buckle up. The drive is very short from the coffee shop to the Cerber warehouse, so I decide to rehearse on how I'm going to ask Charisse out on the drive. It's raining currently, so she's staring out the window and getting lost in her own thoughts anyway. We arrive at the warehouse, and as Charisse unbuckles and thanks me, I grab her arm. Wait. She stiffens and looks at me with trepidation. Oh, sorry. I draw my hand back as she pulls her arm away. What? Charisse asks, recoiling. I look around for some stupid reason, then back at her. Do you want to do this again? As like a date? Maybe dinner instead of coffee. Charisse laughs and replies, Oh, honey, you're adorable. I'm a lesbian. Of fucking course. Oh, okay. Well, how about just as friends? I don't really have many besides some of my clients, and it'd be nice to have a friend that really understands this side of the job. I guess that I'm trying to say is that you remind me of what it's like not to feel alone, and I would love to keep hanging out. Entirely platonic, of course. You know what? Yeah, she relaxes. That'd be really cool. I typically don't drive on Sundays and Mondays. We could work something out around that, right? Definitely. I smile and hold out my hand for a shake. She bear hugs me instead, which made me blush. Being turned down doesn't change that she's gorgeous and now making physical contact. For the love of God, I hope she didn't look down. Hey, it's been a while and I'm not dead. Get over it. I'm going back inside now. She opens the door. Yeah. Could you tell Adeline I'll talk with her later? I ask. Yeah, no problem. I'll give you a call in a few days. You like beer and nachos? Oh, I would marry her on the spot if I could. Yes to the nachos, but no on the beer. I'm sober, I reply sheepishly. Oh, sorry, she winces. Nachos then. She smiles, closes the door, and walks away. I'm just now noticing her limp, and it gives me a tinge of heartache. The world doesn't deserve someone like Charisse. I'm terribly excited to have her as a friend. Alas, I must return to work as well. I put out a signal and gnaw on the conversation we had. I can't stop thinking about the devil being a woman. It's kinda cute, but I'm unnerved that the devil needs Cerber. 20 minutes into deep thought, I get a signal from someone named Lil in Walnut Creek. It's a ways off, but I have the time and a new playlist on Spotify, so I accept and make my way to the city of medical boomtown. I pull up to a church close to the 680 off-ramp. The church was so creepy. It was very dark on this street, despite being located in a residential area, but it had a large white, glowing cross that sat on a throne of black skies. Super ominous. Out front was a model-esque woman wearing a white raincoat. The one that has the belt tied in the front. The expensive-looking ones. She had long, wavy black hair, alabaster skin, dark eyes, and very light makeup. She looks up from her phone and struts over to my car in stiletto heels, exposing neatly manicured toes. She looks like a woman that would be named Saffron or Apple, one of those new age models. Lil gets into my car, crosses her legs, and sets a briefcase down next to her. I look at the destination and realize it's a private adoption agency really close to the Livermore lab. This can't be good. Lil, I've noticed you're heading to an adoption agency. Do you want me to buy a car seat before we take off? My, treat?
You can call me Lilith and that won't be necessary, she begins. I'm adopting an 8-year-old girl. She won't need a car seat.
Oh man, picking up someone named Lilith in front of a Christian church and heading to an adoption agency sounds like a demon food run. Adam's first wife, Lilith? I ask, cringing. She raises an eyebrow in irritation.
Yeah, also known as the demon with the cursed womb. A demon who can make an exception to make a man disappear instead of a child if he's not careful. Hypothetically, of course.
She finishes with feminine snark. Now I'm being threatened, and after Charisse's story with Lamash too, I got angry. Usually I would be scared, but after my chat with Charisse, I lost my patience preemptively. Listen, I don't respond well to threats, and I also don't transport food, especially of the child variety. Cancel the ride, call for another. I put my hands on the steering wheel, breaking eye contact, and dismiss her.
You think I eat children?
I think I hurt her feelings. Her voice took a hard left into emotional territory after I sneered my reply.
I don't eat them. I adopt them,
she replies, brushing her coat down, keeping her gaze away from me. I'm an asshole. I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. That was very rude of me. If you still want me to take you to the agency, I will, but I need to know that this child will be safe, I reply, bracing myself.
Look, I'm sorry I threatened you,
she says, wiping her tears.
If you're cool with me smoking in the car, I'll tell you everything. The drive is long, so I have the time to break it down for you.
Sure. Please keep the window open. I look around my car and find a half-drunk bottle of water. You can put your butts in here. I'm weird about people throwing their butts out the window. Do we still have a deal? Lilith nods, receiving the water bottle from me. I put the car in drive and hit 680 south.
I'll start from the beginning.
She ignites her lighter and draws the flame to her cigarette. She inhales deep and exhales through her nose, closing her eyes. Something tells me her day has been bad and things are about to get heavy.
I was created for Adam. Something went wrong, though. I was meant to marry and carry his children. The problem is, I didn't want that. Not just mentally, but physically. Back then, it was labeled disobedience. Today it's called asexual. There's nothing personal to Adam. I simply don't have sexual desires. In fact, I still get together with Adam every couple months to catch up. We're still good friends.
She takes another drag, then sips something from a flask in her purse. Don't worry, I didn't ask.
You see, this disobedience caused a great ethereal disruption. After the end of a tremendous fight, my womb was cursed to never carry a child, and I was left in the middle of the ocean. After several days of frantic floating, Lucifer Satanael found me. You would know her as the devil.
I'm still not used to that notion. Makes sense, since the devil hasn't been known to impregnate anyone. Now I get why.
Lucy took me in, and we were married. I wasn't thrilled with the idea of being committed, but since my last experience with turning down a marriage went really sour, I decided not to fight it this time. At the very least, I wouldn't be penetrated by a man, and I think Lucy just wanted to keep me close, and marriage was a surefire therein. She's really good to me.
What kind of shit is this lady into if the devil is considered to be a doting wife?
However, I desperately wanted to be a mother. Lucy couldn't grant me this wish, and it hurt her as much as it hurt me. Jewels, gowns, anything I ever wanted, it was mine, but not children. So Lucy had this wonderful idea.
Lilith puts out a cigarette on her tongue, then drops it into a bottle. That's not exactly what I had in mind with cigarette disposal, but whatever chokes her goat, I guess.
You see, Lucy is obsessed with pleasing her father. She will do anything she can to bring justice to sinners. People have it all wrong. The devil doesn't create sin. Free will does. The devil just carries out the sentence. It's been her battle since the dawn of her banishment. She's hoping that if she shows her devotion to her father's indoctrination, he'll mend the relationship.
She's kind of losing me here. What does her issues with her dad and punishing sinners have to do with adopting kids?
You see, sinning is far more generic than the Bible preaches. One must remember that man wrote the Bible with the allegations of being able to translate directly from God or his fleet. There are a lot more specific sins in the Bible, but really, a sin is just an act carried with malicious or selfish intent.
I don't think I understand what your point is, I say gently.
I'm getting there,
she replies impatiently, lighting up another cigarette.
Example. Pedophiles.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're baiting pedophiles with children so the devil can patch things up with her dad? Isn't that far more of a problem than it is a solution? I've got the willies and I'm pissed. Even if these children aren't food, they shouldn't be used as carrots to dangle in front of psychos.
Nope,
she says plainly, grinning as though she's about to drop a punchline.
Sure, I could use them to lure out pedophiles. However, they're not only my children, they're my employees.
Huh? I say, still agitated.
I run a dark website where pedophiles buy children. The Heretic Palace. When these pedophiles place an order, they buy one of my children. These children are very special though. They undergo a few months of training and desensitizing. Once the purchase is made, my children go to the delivery address, which is typically a home address, and slaughters the buyer.
Kick ass, I say, nearly cheering. So you literally adopt kids to not only take large amounts of cash from these fuckers, then you wipe them off the earth? She bows.
Precisely. I get to have children. Lucy feeds the notion of pleasing her father. I make a lot of money to donate to local churches who also help find these monsters. Then I eradicate them off the planet through my little darlings. Everybody wins.
I damn near clap. I'm going to apologize again. I had no idea. I'm so sorry that I misjudged you. I don't know how I feel about kids killing, but if anyone deserves to be murdered, it's pedophiles. I reply.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All said and done, they always come home to hot food, fresh pajamas, and bedtime stories with me. Their mum.
She smiles with genuine pride. It's entirely unorthodox how she conducts her business, but I get it. Homing children who have been abandoned, teaching them how to assassinate sexual assailants, which is the direct antithesis to what they would be exposed to in the system. It's fucked up. Really fucked up. But this is probably the best you could ever expect from a demon and a devil situation. So, this girl you're picking up. Have you picked a name? I was a little overwhelmed from this discussion and wanted to change the tracks on the thought train.
I haven't thought about it.
What about Angela? I reply selfishly.
All right,
Lilith replies, smiling. I come up to the Vasco exit and make my way off the freeway. I turn onto Tesla Road and follow it down a few miles to a building that's guarded by national security. I assume the government must work with her in some way if she's adopting from an agency so close to the lab, so heavily guarded. I didn't have the spoons to ask any more questions, so I refrained.
Thank you, Jem. It was nice being able to get all that off my chest,
Lilith says, sliding out of her seat. No problem. Can I just make one tiny suggestion? I ask, seeing Lilith raise her eyebrow in response. Maybe not so young? She smiles and replies,
Don't worry. Angela won't be executing before her first flowering.
Flowering? I ask.
Her period, Jem. Then they become a woman by biblical standards. A woman means she's received the power to make her own decisions. I'm adopting her early because I miss having tea parties.
She laughs and waves me off. Lilith is a badass. I decide to end my night. There was a lot of good, bad, and ugly tonight, and I'm really ready for some sleep. I'll be keeping an eye on the news for mysterious deaths of the diabolical, henceforth. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. And if you're an animal lover like me, please consider donating to the World Land Trust, a charity that aims to help wildlife through buying land, preventing development, and helping endangered species.